Listen to me. One day you're gonna wake up and realize the pain of regret is heavier than the pain of discipline. And I need you to get this. When you're old, when your knees don't work the way they used to, when your body doesn't move like it once did, you won't be sitting there crying about the chances you took. No, you'll be broken over the chances you never took. See, when you fail, at least you learned something. At least you fought. At least you stood up to life and swung with everything you had. But when you don't even try, when you let fear, doubt, or comfort talk you out of it, that's the stuff that haunts you. That's the ghost that sits on your shoulder every night whispering, "What if?" You don't regret the relationships you tried that didn't work out. You regret the love you never confessed. You don't regret the business that collapsed. You regret never launching it in the first place. You don't regret the shots you took and missed. You regret never pulling the trigger. Let me tell you something. Regret doesn't show up loud. It doesn't come with a bang. It creeps up slow. And before you know it, 10 years are gone, 20 years are gone, and you're left staring at a life half lived. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the right time. There is no right time. There is only right now. And right now is all you've got. So hear me. Fall, fail, stumble, mess up, embarrass yourself, look foolish if you have to. But don't you dare sit on the sidelines of your own life. Because at the end of the day, you won't regret the risks you took. You'll regret the ones you didn't. So go get it. Live loud, live bold, live with no apologies, because the clock is ticking and your future self is watching. And trust me, your future self does not want to whisper, "I regret what I didn't do." The pain of regret is heavier than the pain of discipline. Discipline hurts, yes, but it's a temporary sting. Waking up early, grinding when you're tired, sacrificing comfort, putting in the hours, saying no to distractions. It feels heavy in the moment, but it passes. That pain molds you, sharpens you, pushes you closer to the life you say you want. But regret doesn't go away. Regret digs in deep. It shows up years later when you look back at opportunities you passed up because you didn't want to feel uncomfortable, because you chose the easy road. Regret is heavier because you can't undo it. You can't rewind time and give yourself that second chance. Once the window closes, it's gone, and you carry that weight forever. People think discipline is suffering, but the truth is, discipline is freedom. The pain of discipline is an investment in your future. The pain of regret is the debt you'll never pay off. Every rep in the gym, every late night at the desk, every sacrifice you make, it all feels like a burden, but that burden builds strength. On the other hand, every time you skip the work, every time you let yourself off the hook, every time you let fear or laziness win, you're stacking bricks of regret that you'll one day struggle to carry. You can live with the temporary discomfort of discipline, or you can drown under the permanent weight of regret. Discipline whispers in the moment, but regret screams for a lifetime. When you understand this, when you finally get it deep in your soul, you stop avoiding the work and start embracing it. Because you realize the pain of discipline is the only pain that pays you back. Failure teaches, but not trying haunts. When you fail, you get data, you get feedback, you get lessons carved into your mind that no book, no lecture, no motivational video could ever give you. Failure is the tuition you pay for growth. It's the classroom where real wisdom lives. When you step out and try, even if you stumble, you discover what works, what doesn't, and more importantly, what you're truly made of. Failure is never wasted unless you choose to waste it. But when you don't try, you rob yourself of that education. You rob yourself of the chance to see your potential, to push your limits, to uncover the strength you didn't even know you had. The haunting part of not trying is that you never know how far you could have gone. You never know what doors might have opened, what opportunities could have been born out of your effort. That's why not trying leaves a scar that lingers longer than any failure. When you fail, you can say, "I fought. I gave everything I had, and now I know better." But when you don't try, all you can say is, "What if? What if I had spoken up? What if I had started that business? What if I had taken that shot?" That silence of never knowing is louder than any fall. People fear failure because they think it means the end, but failure is just a beginning dressed in disguise. It pushes you forward, forces you to adjust, demands you to rise again. Not trying leaves you stuck in the same place, spinning in circles, trapped in a life that never stretches you. The truth is, you'll recover from failure, but you'll never escape the ghost of a chance you didn't take. Regret creeps in through missed chances, not failed attempts. It doesn't rush in with noise or drama. It slips in quietly, almost invisible, until one day you look back and realize how much you left undone. Missed chances don't sting in the moment because you convince yourself there will be another opportunity, another time, another day. But slowly those days stack up, and the windows you thought would always be open begin to close. That's when regret settles in, heavier than anything else you've ever carried. Failed attempts don't bring the same kind of pain. When you try and fail, you can at least look yourself in the mirror and know you stood up, you gave effort, you tested your courage. There's pride in that, even if the outcome wasn't what you wanted. A failed attempt still leaves you with growth, experience, and the confidence that comes from daring to act. It sharpens you for the next move, the next challenge, the next battle. But missed chances leave nothing behind. No memory of the fight, no scars to prove you tried, no lessons to carry forward. Just an empty space where something could have been. That's why regret is so destructive. It doesn't remind you of who you are, it reminds you of who you could have been. When you fail, you still move forward. When you miss the chance, you stay frozen in place. And every missed chance stacks on top of the last until you find yourself weighed down by the life you never lived. Regret is quiet, but it's suffocating. It doesn't shout, it whispers in the back of your mind, you should have. And those whispers never fade, because you can't rewrite the chances you refuse to take. There is no perfect time, only right now, waiting for the stars to align, for the conditions to be ideal, for everything to feel safe and secure is the trap that keeps most people stuck forever. Life doesn't hand out perfect moments wrapped in golden paper. The perfect time you're waiting for is nothing but fear disguised as logic, an excuse that makes you feel comfortable while you put your dreams on hold. Every day you delay, every day you wait for the right conditions, you're actually training yourself to hesitate, to stall, to live in pause mode instead of play. Right now is all you ever truly have. Tomorrow is a promise, not a guarantee. The job you want to start, the book you want to write, the conversation you need to have, the risk you're afraid to take. None of those get easier with time. In fact, the longer you wait, the harder they become. Momentum works both ways. If you act now, momentum builds in your favor. If you stall, momentum builds against you, and hesitation becomes your habit. People often imagine they'll act when everything is lined up just right. But the truth is, things rarely line up. Opportunities don't wait for your comfort zone. They pass you by if you're not ready to grab them in the moment they appear. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who waited for certainty. They're the ones who moved forward in uncertainty. They started messy, they made mistakes, but they moved. And because they moved, they created momentum. And because of momentum, opportunities grew. Right now is the only ground you can stand on. The future hasn't arrived, the past is already written, and the only space where change can be born is the moment you're in. You'll regret the risks you didn't take, not the ones you did. Taking a risk feels terrifying in the moment because your mind screams about everything that could go wrong. You imagine the embarrassment, the loss, the judgment, the failure, but when you look back years later, those fears don't matter. What matters is whether you stepped forward or stayed stuck. Risks carry the possibility of failure, but they also carry the possibility of success, growth, and transformation. Without risk, nothing changes. Without risk, dreams remain ideas that never leave your head. When you take a risk and it doesn't work, you can recover. You learn what doesn't work, you adjust, you rebuild. That experience becomes fuel for your next step. Every successful person carries stories of failed risks, but they don't live in regret because at least they moved. They dared, they tried. There's pride in knowing you had the courage to take a chance, even if the outcome wasn't what you wanted. But when you avoid risk, When you play it safe every time, you're left with a hollow feeling that never goes away. You start to wonder what life could have looked like if you had trusted yourself, if you had pushed forward when everything inside you told you to hold back. That what if becomes a shadow that follows you, reminding you of the opportunities you let slip through your fingers. The truth is, security is an illusion. Playing it safe doesn't protect you from loss. It only guarantees you never discover your full potential. Risks stretch you. They open doors you couldn't see before. They force you to grow into someone new. The pain of failure fades, but the pain of never knowing what could have been lasts a lifetime.